Hello my dear children, how are you all? I wish all are fine and studying well at home. So students, this is our English literature class. This is our book, Mulberry English course book. So what we will do? We will complete our written work of chapter 2. In last video, we got the explanation of this chapter, the cherry tree. In this video, we will get the question answers and written work. So, we will start with in-text questions. Where are the in-text questions you will get? You will get inside the chapter, inside the text. You will see blocks are there, boxes are there. In box, you will get questions. So, look at page number 31 in your book. First question is, where did Rakesh live? So, answer is, Rakesh lived with his grandfather in the outskirts of Mussoorie, just where the forest began. Next question, what did grandfather tell Rakesh to do with the cherry seed? Grandfather asked Rakesh to plant the cherry seed. Now on next page you will see page number 32 in your book. Question is, how did Rakesh and grandfather know that it was springtime? Rakesh and grandfather knew it was springtime when the wild duck flew north. Next question, where did the wild duck fly in spring? The wild duck flew to Siberia in spring. Next question, on page number 33, 3 blocks are there. So question is here, where did Rakesh go during the monsoons? What did he do there? So Rakesh went home to his village during the monsoon. He went there to help his father and mother with the planting and plowing and sowing. Next question, what does the word intention mean? The word intention means what one aims or plans to do. Next question, which 2 visitors did Rakesh find on the cherry tree? Rakesh found a bright green praying mantis and a hairy caterpillar on the cherry tree. Next question, what did he do with them? So Rakesh let the praying mantis, which was the first visitor to the cherry tree, remain on the branch. But he removed a caterpillar who was eating the leaves and dropped it on a heap of dry leaves. Next question, what made grandfather unhappy in winter? The road from the valley was blocked during the winter. For several days there was no newspaper and this made grandfather quite grumpy. As you know all that grandfather was fond of newspaper. Next question, what effect did this have on his stories? His stories began to have unhappy endings. Next question on page number 34. What does the word nectar mean? The word nectar means a sweet liquid that is produced by flowers and collected by bees for making honey. Question number 12. It means last question of in-text. What does the word blossoms mean? The word blossoms mean a flower or a mass of flowers, especially on a fruit, tree or bush. These were the in-text questions. These are over. Now making connection. This is on page number 35. So these are the answers of making connections. Quick answers. These are given: a praying mantis, a caterpillar, bees, teeny birds, bulbul and scarlet minivets, a goat. They came to the cherry tree to feast on its nectar, blossoms, leaves and cherries. Now next question, reference to context. As all we know that how can we attempt these questions? First we have to read the given text. On behalf of that we will get some question, then we will answer to these questions. For these questions, look at page number 36. So student, text is here. In your book you will see on page number 36, nothing is lucky if you put it away. If you want luck, you must put it to some use. It is given here. You will see. First question, who said this and to whom? The answer is grandfather said to Rakesh. Next question, what was the speaker referring to? The answer is the speaker is referring the seeds of the cherry tree. Next question, how did the person being spoken to some use? The person being spoken to put it to some use by planting the seed. Second is over. Now come to the third line. Come back when you are a butterfly, he said. Who said this and to whom? Rakesh said this to caterpillar. Next question, why did the speaker not want the creatures to stay? The speaker did not want the creatures to stay because if the creatures stay, they will spoil the tree. Next question, what does this line tell you about the speaker? This line tells us that the speaker is very caring towards the cherry tree that he planted. Now next one, fourth one. He could see the mountains striding away into the clouds. So first question is, who is referred to as he in this line? He in this line is Rakesh. Next question, from where he could see the mountain? He was laying down beneath the tree where he could see the mountains. Next question, what does the expression striding away into the clouds mean? The expression striding away into the clouds means that the mountain is getting covered up into the clouds. So these were the reference to the context are over. Now come to the read, reflect and question number 5. How did Rakesh and his grandfather spend the winter evenings? Rakesh and his grandfather sat over a charcoal fire and grandfather told him stories about people who turn into animals and Rakesh read the newspaper for him. This is the answer. Next question, question number 6. Rakesh thought that the cherry tree had died on 2 occasions. Narrate the incidents briefly. So what are the 2 occasions? Rakesh thought that the cherry tree had died on 2 occasions. They are, when the cherry tree was about 2 feet high, a goat entered the garden and ate the leaves. In the rainy season, when the new leaves appeared on the tree, a woman cutting the grass cut the cherry tree into 2. So these were the 2 occasions when the cherry tree was cut. Next question here, question number 7. What questions does Rakesh ask at the end of the story? What do you think he means by the questions? So Rakesh asked questions like, what is so special about the cherry tree? Why do we like it so much? By these questions, he means that there are so many trees in the forest, but they are paying attention only on the cherry tree. Next, question number 8. Would you consider Rakesh and his grandfather to be nature lovers? Why do you think he means by that question? So answer is yes. Rakesh and his grandfather would be considered to be a nature lover. It is important to plant trees because it provides food, shelter and a healthy environment. Now question number 9. Nothing is lucky if you put it away. If you want luck, you must put it in some use. Give an example of your own to illustrate this quotation. So answer is here, without working hard, we can't expect the luck to make us successful. If we want luck, we must work hard and leave the rest to luck. So nothing is lucky if we put it away. If we want luck, we must put it in some use. So these were the read, reflect and write completed. Our next question is on page number 37. Synonyms, it means same in meaning. So here is the exercise given. You will see in your book on page number 37. Replace the underlined words with the appropriate synonym. So students, what we will do, we have to choose the right answer here. Arunima Sinha is a daring mountaineer who braved all obstacles to scale mountains. So what is the right answer? Reckless or fearless? Daring, it means fearless. Second is Lincoln was looking for an answer to the problem. So if problem is there, then we will see result or solution. Solution. This is the answer, solution. Next, C. M.S. Subbalakshmi was a great singer. Great singer means to say huge singer or talented. It is a talented singer. Next question. Gandhi was sad when he lost his pocket watch. So dejected or pathetic? So Gandhiji was dejected when he lost his pocket watch. This is the answer. Next question. Jane Goodall studied chimpanzees in their natural environment. So answer is native environment. Here. Now next question, what is here? Insert a, an or the wherever necessary and rewrite the sentences. This exercise is on page number 39. So already you know about the articles. So what you will do? This is your homework. You will attempt this work in homework. Okay, so you will attempt this exercise in your copy. In next video, I will tell you the answers and you will match the answers. Now look at page number 40. What is here? Page number 40, dictionary, using words as nouns and verbs. Read these sentences. You should water it now and then. So this is given here. So what we have to do? Read the words given below and look up their meanings in the dictionary. Then use each of these words in two sentences. First as a noun and then as a verb. So here you will see first word is balance. Noun, Vikram has right balance between his studies and games. Verb, I balanced myself when I was about to fall. Next is talk. Noun, we should avoid unnecessary talk about others. Verb, I talked loudly. Next is display. Noun, our artistic works are imprinted on display boards. Verb, we need to display our talents. Next, worry. He needs to come out of his worry. Verb, I don't have to worry about the result. Next is escape. Noun, Noor had a fortunate escape. Verb, he escaped from the tragedy. So this is completed. Now look at the page number 41. Listen and speak well. So listen carefully to the information about the king cobra, then fill in the blanks with the correct facts. So students, you are not having any CD to listen it. So that's why I am giving you the answers of this question. King cobras live in the grassland and rainforest of Southeast Asia. You will see all the answers, including China and India. These snakes are generally shy, avoiding human contact, but can be very aggressive if cornered or threatened. They are the largest of all venomous snakes, capable of growing up to 18 feet in length. They can give out as much as 500 milligrams of venom, enough to carry about 30 men or a horse with a single bite. These large snakes have glistening scaly skin which is dry and can be green, brown or black, matching the forest colors. They can live up to 20 years and they grow constantly. They can swim, slither on land and climb trees as well. They make hissing sounds. These snakes smell with their tongues and have excellent eyesight. Although they are deaf, they can sense vibrations well. So students, your chapters is completed now. In next video, you will get the test paper already informed on behalf of second chapter. So learn each and everything from the book. Thank you dear students. Stay at home, stay safe, but keep in touch of study and try to complete your work on time. Thank you dear students. So students, as we have completed every work of chapter 2, now I am going to explain chapter number 3 also. The name of the chapter number 3, a Turkish judge. It means to say a judge of Turkish. He was famous for his wisdom, as he was very wise. All over, everyone knows him for his justice. So read the following passage. Emperor Akbar once dropped his ring at the court and then could not find it. Do not worry, Your Majesty, said Birbal. I will find your ring right away. Turning to the courtiers, he announced, Your Majesty, the courtier who has a straw in his beard has stolen your ring. What do you think happened next? Share your ideas. Then turn to page 54 to check the answer and see which one of you is as wise and witty as Birbal. Witty means to say a person who is always ready to give answer or reply to any compliment or any question, whatever it is. Folk tales are short stories that have been verbally passed on from one generation to another. Here is a Turkish folk tale about the Turkish caliph. Caliph means to say a king, a ruler. Harun al-Rashid, who ruled Baghdad and northern Turkey. His life and his court have been the subject of many such stories. Let us read the story about a wise Cadi who helped the caliph in the time of trouble. It means to say when caliph was in trouble, that time this Cadi, wise Cadi means to say a judge, helped him to solve his problem. So what is the story? Let's enjoy the story, then you will come to know what is the main theme of the story. The city of Baghdad flourished under its judge and upright caliph, Harun al-Rashid. It means to say Harun al-Rashid, who was the ruler of this city, Baghdad was under his kind control. Wanting to see for himself how his people fared, the Caliph disguised himself as a common traveller, mounted his steed and rode until he came to the outskirts of town of Basra. What he did? He changed his dress in a common person. As a common person, he moved to check how his people fared. Means what the opinion of his people about him, how they are living. Is there any problem with him? Means every condition he wanted to know. That's why he changed his appearance and moved to look what is going to be happen in his area. How he moved? To mount on his steed. Mount means to say ride off and steed means to say horse. And rode until he came to the outskirts of the town of Basra. Outskirt, it means to say border of the city. There he saw an old man sitting by the roadside. Help me, implored the old man, as he was requesting, he was asking to help him. He was requesting some person to help him who was sitting by the roadside. Then Caliph stopped and asked, Old man, where are you going? I am on my way to Basra, answered the old man. The Caliph put out his hand and helped the old man onto the steed's back. Then, together, they rode into Basra. It means to say he offered his help to the old man and give him lift on his steed. Then they moved towards the Basra. When they reached the town square, it means where they want to go. In Basra, Caliph said to the old man, alight, you have reached your destination, but I have to ride further. He asked to get off the horse. You have reached your destination, but I have to ride further. Alight yourself, answered the old man rudely. Now the way of speaking of the old man has been changed. He was having something cruel in his mind. Then he told, alight, get off yourself. The horse is mine. The Caliph was taken aback. Ungrateful man, he cried. Did I not pick you up from the roadside and bring you here? Very true, replied the man cunningly, in a clever way. But can you prove it? I am a stranger in Basra, and so are you, as I am a stranger here, same as you are. It is your word against mine. Give me the horse and be on your way. It means if you will tell to anyone, then you are a stranger as well as I am a stranger. It means if you will ask to anyone to help you, then they will not believe you, and your own words will be against of you. So give it horse to me and move away. The Caliph was faced with a dilemma. He knew if he forced the man off the horse, the old man would cry out, a mob would gather and turn against him. Then Caliph was faced with a dilemma, a problem about which he was not thinking. Now he was in confusion. He knew if he forced the man to leave the horse, then what will happen? He started to cry and the mob will be gathered here, and what will happen? Everything will be against of him because he was an old man and he was a king. So on the other hand, if he gave him 10 gold coins, the old man would let him ride away, but then he would be encouraged to cheat other people in the same way. That's why he thought that he will not give him coins also. The Caliph thought for a while, and then he said to himself, I shall go before the Cadi of Basra and ask him to settle the case. I may lose my horse in doing so, but at least I will get to know how wisely the Cadi of Basra dispense justice. Now what's happened? Suddenly he came to know about the Cadi. He remembered. Because the person Cadi, who was famous for his justice, as he was very wise. That's why he thought that okay, I have to move there, then I will come to know how wise he was. While in this way, maybe it can be happen, I may lose my horse. Let's go to the caddy then, said the caliph to the old man. The old man agreed. So they went to the place where the caddy was holding court. Two men stood before the caddy, an oil merchant and a potter. In his hand, the potter held a piece of gold which he claimed was his. What's happened there? When they reached there, they saw that there was a case in front of caddy. That was the case of two men. One was oil merchant and another was potter. Potter who make the pots. And what was the topic? Means what was the case? That was the case of the piece of gold. That potter was claiming that these pieces of gold were his. Your honor, said the oil merchant, that coin belonged to me. I have owned it for many years and always carry it. I lost it today. The oil merchant told him that these coins were his. They belonged to him. While the potter was telling they belong to him. Then what's happened? He is telling oil merchant that every time for many years I am keeping it with me. It means they belong to me. So I lost it today. Are there any witness? Asked the caddy. Then caddy asked, is there any witness for this? They know that these coins belong to you. No, your honor, answered the man. When the caddy asked the man to leave the coin with him and to return to the court the following day. The caliph was puzzled and wondered how the caddy would pronounce a just decision. The next case was called and two other men approached the caddy. What is your trade? He asked the first. I am a writer, answered the man. Why are you here? Continued the caddy. Again, means his questions are continuing. This morning while I was out, someone stole my book of learning. That tailor, he said, pointing to the other man, now has it and claims that that book is his. Did anyone witness the tailor stealing the book? Asked the caddy. Again, caddy asked, is there any witness who can tell that this book belonged to you, not to the tailor? While tailor is telling that it is mine. No, your honor, replied the man. Means again he was not having any witness, any proof. Very well, said the caddy. Leave the book with me and return tomorrow. Next, the caddy called the caliph and the old man before him and inquired why come to the court. Why they had come to the court. What was reason? Your honor, said caliph, I am a traveller from a distant land. The man asked for my help and taking pity on him, I brought him with me to Basra. When I asked him to dismount, he refused and now he claims that my steed is his. What's happened? He told each and everything. Then when he told that caliph, I am a traveller from a distant land. It means I am a person who live on a distant land. This old man asked me for help and taking pity on him. It means I was feeling pity on him as he was an old man. I offered him my help. How? I asked him, okay, you can take help from me. You can take lift from me. When I asked him to dismount, when I asked him to get off from my horse, what he told? That no, I am not going to get off. You have to, because this steed is mine. It means to say this horse was his, belonged to the old man. The caddy turned to the old man. What do you have to say in your defense? Have you something to say in your defense? The horse is mine, your honor, answered the old man. I have cared for him since he was a colt. He was telling that this horse belonged to him as he was carrying it when he was a colt, when he was a baby horse. If that horse is taken from me, how will I live? I am old and feeble, and I can barely walk. I need my faithful horse to carry me." Here the old man wailed and forced false tears to gain the sympathy of the caddy. The caddy calmly asked, "Have you any witness?" Again same question, "Have you any witness?" "No, your honor," replied the caliph and the other old man together. Both told together that they were not having any witness. Then said the caddy, "Leave the horse in my stable and return to this courtroom tomorrow morning." The next morning the caliph arrived at the courtroom early. Why? Because he was very eager to know how he will give his judgment. As he knew that he was a very wise person, he was a very wise judge. The next, for he was keen to hear how the caddy would decide the case of the coin and that of the book. As soon as the caddy entered the room, he ordered the oil merchant and the potter to come before him. Handing the gold coin to the oil merchant, it means he gave the gold coins to the oil merchant and said, "Here is your gold coin, take it, it is rightfully yours." Then he turned to the potter. "You have tried to keep what did not belong to you," means what is not yours, and you are trying to keep it with you. He said it in a stern, in a harsh voice, in a very serious voice. It means a little bit anger was there in his voice. He called his soldiers, "Take this man away from the courtroom and see that he offers his service free of charge to the oil merchant for a month." Next, the caddy called the writer and the tailor before him. "The book of learning belongs to writer," he said. "I now return it to him." "But your honor, I swear that is mine," protested the tailor. The tailor told that it is mine. "Soldier, take this false swearing tailor who is taking false swear, take him away from here and ensure that he pays the writer 5 gold coins for the trouble he has caused him," ordered the caddy. Finally, the caliph and the old man were called before the caddy. The caddy addressed the old man, "Why have you repaid the generosity of a stranger with ingratitude? Why you showed the sympathy, the person who is a stranger for you? I will make sure you mend your cunning ways. From this day on you will be employed." Then what's happened? The caddy addressed the old man. Then he told to the old man, "I will make sure you mend your cunning ways. You tried your cunningness. From this day on, I will make sure you will employed at the court, and it will be your duty to extend courtesy to all travelers who come to Basra. You will help, you will look after all the travelers who will come to Basra." Good traveler, he said, turning to the caliph. "I know that the horse belongs to you. Take it and continue on your way. May your kindness and generosity be better reward in the future." It means because of your kind behavior, you will get respect in future. The caliph was amazed. He was surprised at the justice given by the caddy. He thanked him, stepped to the back of the room and waited until everyone except the caddy had left the courtroom. It means he stayed there and waited that when everyone will be out, he will meet to the caddy. Then he approached him and said, "Honored judge, I am in awe. I am in surprise of your wisdom. How could you do this? How did you give such accurate and just judgments without evidence and witness? While there was no evidence, there was no witness, how can it possible to give a judgment? Will you tell me?" "So these cases have all been very simple," said caddy with a smile. "Did you not hear the oil merchant say that he had carried this piece of gold for many years? If he is having for many years, then I put the coin into a glass of clear water. Tiny drops of oil came up to the surface. That proved to me beyond doubt that the coins belonged to the oil merchant. That is very clever indeed, said the Caliph, but do tell me how you knew that the book of learning belonged to the writer. That case was also quite easy to settle, replied the Cadi. On looking closely at the book, I found that the pages most used were those on which the duties of writer and scholars were written. The book belonged to the writer. Actually, writers and scholars are having habit, whenever they are usually reading the book or anything, they usually having habit to write, to make the notes. So he came to know that it belongs to writer. Your judgment is most wise, exclaimed the Caliph in admiration. It means to say to praise him. But how could you tell that the whole horse was rightfully mine? Your judgment is most wise, exclaimed the Caliph. Last night, when Cadi told, last night I had your horse put in my stable. Both you and the old man would have to pass the stable on your way to court. This morning I opened the stable door and stood behind a bale of hay, where a heap of hay was keeping there. Behind it I have observing each and everything. When the old man passed, the horse never looked up. But when you passed the open door, the horse stretched out its head and neighed as horse do only when a loving master approaches. So you see, my friend, the matter was very simple after all. Your wisdom is indeed beyond compare. It means there is no comparison with your wisdom, said the Caliph. Then, revealing his true identity, he said, I am Caliph Harun al-Rashid. Means to tell him the reality, what he is. To tell him his identity, that I am Caliph Harun al-Rashid, honest judge. I now make you the Grand Cadi of all Baghdad. It means of all Baghdad, you are the senior most judge. The story is over, students. I hope it is clear to all. You enjoyed the story. Thank you, students. So, thank you, dear students. Stay at home, stay safe. Then, in homework, already you got the work. And one thing else you will do, you will read the story again. In next video, you will get the written work of this chapter.